9.2, discuss and consider and taking necessary action on the purchase of wildland PPE and safety equipment for firefighters. Which amounts to a total of $231,000, which is non-budgeted. And it's to authorize the purchase of 175 complete sets with a maximum cost, like I said, $231,000, which is not budgeted.
I'll start off on that one.
Okay.
And,
There we go. I'll begin with that. It's become I became aware that this equipment is to provide a reduced risk for our personnel that are going on these wildland fires, and with the predicted high fire load this year and the potential for a busier than usual fire season, it became an issue where I thought it was important to elevate this to the board, even though it's not budgeted. It is a set of equipment for all of the department personnel, paid and volunteers, so when they respond to these wildland fires, it puts them in a mode where if things don't go well, to be honest, if they are overrun by fire, it's somewhat of a safety tool or a life jacket like you would have on a ship. They could deploy a fire shelter and potentially survive that catastrophe in a fashion that we would prefer. So I approached the staff about this, and they got quotes for it. They got information. I think it's worthwhile to examine for our board, and it is not budgeted. And rather than wait till the next budget year, I think because of the fire season that's looming before us, I think it's a priority item. And you know, JD and staff, Chief Smith and staff has done a good job of piecing this out, you know, with quotes and so forth.
Did you get 3 quotes?
We took pricing from a couple of different places we can order online. So that's how we came up with the number that we had. The quick nature of in which this came up did not give us the opportunity to go out and pursue 3 hard quotes. We believe whenever we order in bulk, we will get it for cheaper.
Well, I'm gonna throw this question at our attorney. I know 775 says anything over $50,000 has to have 3 or competitive bids. Would that fall under this?
I think it would, but unless there's something urgent or emergency type basis that would authorize you to do that, and that could be possibly by some of these a partial amount, but that's the only exception would be there if there was some type of emergency.
And yeah, 775 has very specific exemptions to that requirement, and this one doesn't fall underneath that. An emergency is not one of them, actually. It does allow you to buy bunker gear, but this is not bunker gear. Bunker gear is completely separate from that. So first off, I think we have to define specifically how many we want to buy, not just 175, but who's going to get them, and because certain personnel have gear that works, some don't, so we need to really define who gets the gear. I have a concern over how you're going to distribute it. You know, how you're going to, we have more than 175 people, so how do we define who gets it and who doesn't? How's it assigned? How's it tracked? Is it required that they have this gear to respond to a wildland incident? So if they show up without it, they're going to be asked to leave.
In SBA 1977.
Okay.
Same entity that has the conversation on the bunker gear that we wear.
Right.
Recommends the use of the PPE we're identifying. And so we've had a couple of incidents where some of our career staff didn't have any gear at all. We've had a couple of incidents where we've had volunteer staff who is wearing structural PPE while doing events. If they have a heat-related illness, our insurance is going to deny that claim because it's inappropriate.
Okay.
There's a good bit of conversation related to the tech gen gear and those types of gear that traditionally in the 2604 program we purchase unfortunately, this is one of those things I think that tumbled to the bottom of the conversation every time it was brought forward because of the emergent, I won't say emergent, the very large and very significant needs of this district in its infancy. Okay, the funding that we have now, we have not had. And so these were one of those items, unfortunately, that fell to the bottom, and we depended on 2604 to try to do that, and it doesn't sufficiently fund enough for the career staff and the volunteer staff to have the things that we have purchased. We also have upped our training level and our expertise to a level that is pretty profound. And in order for us to be more efficient in that, I think it's something that's pressing. I do understand the conversation about the quotes. And I think the verbiage in this is at a maximum expenditure of such and such, so that no purchase would be made until those 3 quotes were obtained and the most appropriate quote accepted. But what we're asking for is the permission to spend up to that amount. So there would definitely be competitive quotations that were sought out. Those that make 10% or greater are the ones that were selected.
That's how we got to the 175 number, is we did all volunteers that have ran 10% or more of their department's calls in the past year. So that would make sure that we're pretty much covering everybody that's responding. I'll kind of further on to Chief Clanton. We placed more of a priority in the last 5 or 6 years on bunker gear. It's the bigger ticket item when it comes to PPE. So we placed more emphasis on making sure that we had that kind of PPE than we have the wildland gear. We started budgeting this year for some wildland gear, but and with the plan over the next couple of years to catch us up incrementally. But with the way this wildland season has kind of really started to kick off, we felt that it was important to make sure we get everybody what they need.
I have a couple of problems with it on several fronts. The biggest one I have is this sense of urgency. We in Texas plan on droughts every year and hope for rain. So the fact that this is coming up last minute, we've known we've been in a drought for 2 months. And we also should have planned for this in the last budgeting session. The other is just that, asking us to vote. I think that if we use the loophole at a max and vote and do it later, I think that's not how that was intended. I think that we are supposed to evaluate 3 quotes and purchase based on that, not necessarily on this is the lowest number, but why are we going to go with this one that may be a little bit higher or whatever. I have no problem buying it. I just want to do this the right way, and I do want to know why we're so urgent now versus why didn't we plan for this? That's a huge $250,000 expenditure.
I guess my best answer to that is we attempted to try to start remedying this problem in smaller increments than what we've realized now. You're right, we do prepare for droughts every year. This year's just been probably a little bit worse than what we've experienced in the last 10 years. I don't know if we could have completely predicted the actual how we're running wildland calls and what the fires are actually doing at this point. Really, we started looking at that kind of stuff. I don't know. We really saw the uptick, about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. So
another part of this is the amount of data that we've collected as far as outlook from nationally recognized wildland outlooks. And I mean, we spoke at the LEPC meeting on this specific topic, that the outlook all the way to October is not great. So this is going to be a prolonged fire season. It's not going to be our summer drought conversation. We're in the infancy of the conversation, I think. Based on the outlook, it's looking like Northeast Texas is going to be in an increased wildland activity, and I can provide you those documents if you want, all the way through October. So that mirrors a little bit. I'm not saying we're in 2011, so don't take what I'm saying that way. But I am saying we are going to see increased number of fires and potentially increased wildland urban interface conversation.
I don't disagree with you because I've looked at those same things because my hayfields are very dry. But the biggest concern I have is we have a couple of different groups within our organization that are pulling us in 100 different directions on how we spend money. And it's been a little while since I've been at a fire department fighting fire, but we all had that light overcoat and breeches that we wore with boots and the gloves that we had, a non-structural helmet. So has that all gone out of date? Can we take outfits that are people performing under that 10% and give them to the people that are performing above? Is there a way to not make this expenditure? I mean, is this the best best way to spend our money?
I'll be honest with you, the majority of those that don't have proper gear are in the career side. And I am not an advocate for ever purchasing things for the career side that the volunteer side doesn't have. We all should be equipped the same. We should all be doing the same.
I agree.
And I do not want to send any message in any other shape, form, or fashion. So I wasn't going to come in here, any of us, and put it in those terms. But that's really what we have. I mean, we had a scenario the other day where I stood there along with Chief Smith, and we had volunteers from 2604 funded in full PPE that was wildland specific and tech rescue. It's that combination stuff. Again, not the best scenario, but it's better than bunker gear. And we had our career guys who were in their t-shirts and their Nomex pants because they didn't have anything. Now, we did sort of put a Band-Aid on that by buying those long sleeve fireproof shirts, but they still don't have shelters. They don't have line packs. So if we're going into the woods and doing some of these extended operations, they don't have the stuff to carry what they need to carry with them. We've upped our game significantly through training, through involvement with various entities. And, you know, I'm going to tell you, not to ruffle feathers, but in 2011, the way we always did things failed us miserably. Running and gunning on the back of a flatbed brush truck is not something we do in these environments and make it. We have to be able to engage, stretch in long lines, build line, and the way we did it back in the day, we've got to evolve from it. Every part of the fire service has evolved. And unfortunately, the wildland is late in our agency to do so, but we had other priorities, and I think it was appropriate. But we're just to that point, and then we find ourselves now with this potential fire season that I think really increases the urgency and concern. I get what you're saying, I do 100%.
And I don't disagree with the purchase. I just want to make sure that we're doing it in the most appropriate fashion. You know, I think about these fire shelters. I think that is an absolute necessity for every person on that scene to have. But that's also going to be a reoccurring expense because they go out of date. And so do we put 2 or 3 or 4 on every truck, or do
It would actually be more.
is that okay? Well, then that's
Yeah.
what I'm looking for. And I don't mean to.
Yeah.
I'm prying the information out of y'all. I'm not really trying to do too much, but I want to make sure that we're spending it the best way.
And that was the initial thought, was to put these pieces of equipment on for every truck, potentially every riding position if we could. But with the amount of vehicles we have, with the number of seats, it actually comes out more than what if we just do this number of people. Plus, if you give it to the people, they're personally accountable for them, so you don't have to go, well, the fire shelter, walked off last week because somebody forgot to put it back. So we felt that it was better to go that route than to try to put them on the truck.
So how many paid staff don't have any gear at all?
How many don't have any gear at all? I don't have that number in front of me. I can get it for you.
I thought you said y'all had the,
There's a fairly significant number, but we've addressed it with a shirt. So they're using the Nomex uniform pants, and they're using the yellow brush shirts. That was on the last agenda. We bought those to get those guys that didn't have anything summer.
okay.
But it's just one of those things that's occurred because we put a lot of stock in the 2604 program. 2604 programs for our volunteer staff.
So between the volunteer staff and paid staff, it's 175 sets.
Yes. And I also think one of the, kind of listen to what Chief Clanton was saying about our training and being able to do more. I think that also factored into our thoughts when it came to budget. I don't think we were expecting that we'd be able to do what we're doing today in this budget year, and that by taking the incremental steps, we would arrive at where we needed to be without one big scenario.
Well, one more question for you. Have we verified, and I'm sorry to beat this dead horse, but have we verified that every person that has gear assigned to them meets the active personnel requirement? And at what point do we start really enforcing that? And I'm not trying to run anybody off, but at some point we have to shed dead weight because it is costing us a fortune.
I don't think we've went that far into starting to look at who has what at this point. I'm like you, we don't want anybody to leave if we can help it, especially as we're constantly needing more people. So the answer to that question is no, we have not started pulling gear or equipment from folks at this point. If that is the route that we need to go, then I think we need to have some further discussions about it, but.
Well, and I kind of put that out there to the volunteer chiefs. At some point, the people that aren't actually pulling their weight are taking it away from your department as well as the organization as a whole. And I'm not saying run them off. I'm saying find a way to encourage them to participate or ask them to leave. You know, absolutely. I don't disagree with you, Tim. I just, the ones that are there not doing anything are not doing you any more good than the ones that you haven't got yet. And so I know we're not here to pander to feelings. I want to get people that want to be here and help us with this task or ease on down the road. But I don't know. I've done enough talking at this point. I'm sure I've dug enough holes.
Well, I think those are valid concerns, but that's why our staff, when we began this discussion a week or 10 days ago, was we focused on how do we improve safety in this risk-entrenched job of wildland fires that appears to be increasing, and we could have a severe fire season looming ahead of us, but also do it efficiently and effectively with those that are active, protect those that are active as best we can. This job is inherently dangerous, as you all know. We can't eliminate the risk, but I think that this is something that would reduce the risk and would be worth the investment to be made.
So this came up last week, beginning of, or actually the end of the week before.
Yes, that's
Only
when,
about 10 days ago.
yes, sir.
Are we out on it? Do we have inquiries out now, getting quotes?
That's Charlie.
Charlie's working on that.
Yeah.
So we have a number of different supply chains, the big vendors like Supply Cash, the Wildland Warehouse, there's 3 or 4 or 5 of those. And, we can send out the ensemble conversation, or we can send it out pieced. And I think you send it out pieced because you might be able to negotiate some from here, some from there, you know what I mean?
So yes, the question is, are we going to be able to source them from a sole supplier, or are we going to try to go to different suppliers?
I think it'll end up, to get the best price, we'll have to look at it potentially individually, as far as like helmets, goggles, and so on.
Right.
But
Yeah.
So if you could get these things together, I know that we have a tentative meeting for the 10th, that we get it by then, then I think the board would be willing to take action at that time if you got quotes on.
absolutely,
Yeah.
that's agreeable.
Yeah, get all 3 of the quotes, and we can put them on that agenda for that meeting, and then we can look at it from there. It's gonna be a tough decision, but, I'm not against buying it, but we just wanna make sure we don't fall into any pits somewhere along the way. We just wanna make sure we do it the way it needs to be done. So, I'll just go ahead and make this motion that we table 9.2 at this time, maybe move it to the next agenda on the August 10th meeting.
Yeah, I'll second.
Have a motion and a second to table this till the August 10th meeting. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay. It'll be tabled till August the 10th, Mike. You'll put that on the next agenda for that meeting.
Absolutely.
9.3, Tiffman's team PPE.
So Mr. Trotty is not able to be here tonight because of illness, so I'll speak on this. what our intent was, that if we passed that prior item, is we would forego this conversation, since the need is that these guys have the pants and the shirt to go out on deployment. They currently have stuff they purchased themselves or have borrowed or found places to go on those. And so we were asking for one additional shirt and pant for those guys of the Baldwin PPE, which is the Bellis fireproof pants and the yellow shirt. At an expenditure of $4,800, I believe that was for 15 sets. That is through our current uniform vendor. What that quote that you have there is. And the conversation I had with Captain Trotty was, out of his budget line 60910, Class B anticipated overage, is that by the end of the budget year, what we have in the Class B line item would not be used, and that we could use $4,800 to purchase these uniforms for the deployment.
Well, how are these different than the ones that we're talking about prior? I understand that these don't, you don't have the pack.
This is the same thing without the helmets, the goggles.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's basically the same thing. So, I mean, the proper thing probably is just to put this on that agenda next time. And if you approve that, we won't need this.
Okay. I'll make the motion that we table 9.3 and discuss it subsequent to 9.2 at the next meeting, should it be needed.
Okay. Have a motion by Commissioner Dominy to table item 9.3, second by Commissioner Wilson. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay, it's tabled till the next meeting on the 10th. 9.4, budgeted training aid request. Staff.
Okay, so I have a quote there for you. This is a single source vendor situation. No one else builds a door like that. We do have a couple of doors in the district, but they do not do what this door will. This has the ability to overcome panic hardware, like on a commercial door, has the ability to shave the bolt heads. It has a lot of things that we just don't have currently. The quote is for $1,100 in shipping. It's coming out of the northwest. So total price of $12,500. It is budgeted under training aids, and I looked at that. The number is budgeted under training aids, not the door specifically, but we have not expended. I think we still had over 20,000 on that line.
Do you hear a motion?
Make the motion that we approve the purchase of the doors at $12,500.
Okay, have a motion by Commissioner Dominy. We budget the training aid requested for $12,500. Have a second? Have a second by Commissioner Wilson. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item 10. Discuss, consider, and taking necessary action on the following station repairs. 10.1, Dixie Station Septic System. Have two quotes, one from Robles Tank Service and the other one from Joey Riggles.
Yes, sir. So this came through the building committee, and we've looked at this. There's some additional things offered by Joey Riggle, which is basically service for 2 years, but the quote is over $1,500 more, basically, and are right at that. So we've recommended, staff recommends the Robles septic system at a cost of $7,500. And that's the installation of a system. It ties in all of the sinks and various things that currently are running out in the yard. And it also takes care of the permit and design, 2 to 3 sprinkler heads. Again, staff recommends Robles at $7,500.
Well, I got a question about that because Robles doesn't put anything in there about running the electricity to it like Riggles does. So it's not a comparative quote.
And also fill me in, did something happen to our Dixie Station's septic system? Okay, sorry, I'm,
Yeah, it's,
Yeah, it needs to be replaced. I mean, if you want to
No.
know the details about it, more luck to it.
nope, that's all I needed.
Well, I did not catch that, Mr. Brown, so I don't know. That's a $650 addition over here on Joey's.
yeah. And plus he offers you 2 years service where this other guy doesn't offer you anything at all. So that's worth
How
the
much
money
is-
in itself.
What is the service cost a year?
About 225 or $250 a year. is
So that's gonna put
what
us
it
at
costs
$1,000
for them
right
to do
there.
it. Yeah, so about $500 worth of that.
Okay.
So,
It's your pleasure.
I have nothing against these Robles, but I've never heard of them, but I know Joey does good work. I'll make a motion that we take Joey's bid.
Okay.
Is Joey also doing the service work on the rest of our
Yes.
facilities?
Yes.
I'll second. Okay. Have a motion by Commissioner McKeithen that we accept the bid from Joey Briggles Septic Service for $89.25 versus Robles at $7,500. And have a second by Commissioner Wilson. Any other discussion? The only thing I'll say about it is Joey gave the deal about the electricity, and plus he gave us 2 years service on that, so I do think he would be a better bid. Even though it's a little higher, at least you know he's gonna get 2 years of service, and the electricity's gonna be done without an additional charge, so. All right, anybody else have anything? Not, all those in favor of Joey Riggles to do the septic at Dixie signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. And motion carries. Okay. 10.2, Bullard Station budgeted electrical repairs. Who's going to speak on that? I guess you.
Yeah,
Ford?
I've got this one.
Okay.
Okay, so we budgeted in this year's budget to do a lighting upgrade and several other electrical repairs at Bullard Station 1. We budgeted $35,000 for that project, and currently we've gotten the quotes back to do this project, and we'd like to recommend going with Trico, and their bid is for $13,770.
You've reviewed this and you like it? Okay. Has Buster King done it? No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
I make the motion that we accept the Trico bid for $13,770.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Domney. We accept the Trico bid for $13,770 to repair the electrical system at Bullard. Have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Commissioner McKeithen. Any other discussion? Not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item 11, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on ECM replacement for Reserve Engine 1. Okay, Mike, I guess that'll be you.
Yes, Commissioners, after doing a bunch of diagnostics, talking with dealerships and stuff on this reserve engine, I've come to find out that the ECM, the engine computer, is bad, and which requires the dealership to remove it, get a new one, flash the new one, and reinstall it on the truck. So that's what the quote is for $4,500 is for them to perform that work to get that engine back in service.
Do they have it in stock?
I don't think they did, but it would only take a day or two to get it in. It's readily available.
Okay, with all the problems we have with
Right.
the rest of the industry, I didn't know if this.
No, he said it wouldn't take very long to get it in.
Okay, have a motion by Commissioner Wilson that we approve the purchase of the ECM for Reserve Engine 1.
I'll second.
Have a second by Commissioner Domney. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay, item 11, I guess it's 11.1 passes, or, 11.2, I guess LMT TV tires for, I guess our,
This is for the military,
trucks.
yeah, this is for the military trucks. We currently, right now, only have one spare tire. for the 3 trucks that we have. Due to Chief Clanton doing a little research for his department that he has come across a place that has some tires for us at a cost of about $250 a piece, which I had not had a chance to go to Southern Tire Mart and get a bid, but they're well over $600-700 a tire if we were to try to buy them through a tire store. So we're looking at a significant savings cost, and to purchase 14 would give me a good amount of backups to last us a good while. I mean,
I don't have any fear buying the tires because I can't get $250 tires for my pickup. But what I'm asking is, how often do we need those tires, and are we fearful that they will dry rot before we use 14 of them? Because I know they can run. I'm not saying that we run them flat, but I know that they can in a pinch. Are we worried about them lasting that long, or have we had to use spares for those machines?
we've had to use spares. I know through Snowmageddon we'd used a few, and then we
I actually remember that, yeah.
We had wore some out on Red Springs, and we threw a full set of one of the spares that we had on their 5-ton, and that's 6 tires on it, because the 5-tons have 6, and then Bullard's has 4.
Gotcha.
So
How
14,
many trucks we have that use these tires? Mike?
3.
3?
The 5-ton at Red Springs, the 5-ton at Jackson,
All of
and
them have 6 tires on them?
those 2 have 6,
exception
and
of
then the
Bullard.
2.5-ton has 4 in Bullard. So it almost gives me a full set for each truck if so happens that we do need them.
Got money in your budget?
I believe I do, yes.
All right.
Who's the company that you got that from, Corey?
It's in Norman, Oklahoma. I think it's Norman Tire. I don't remember the exact name, but they deal in all sizes of farm implement tires and everything in the world, and I think they have some kind of access to surplus. So they buy these through a government situation, which they're brand new tires. They've never been on a piece of equipment.
Okay.
And it's kind of the go-to for most of us.
Would they give you a quote? Would they send you a quote?
Yeah, he sent me one via email. I don't know if
Okay.
I can find it.
We're gonna need competitive quotes.
Yeah, so we need that one and maybe 1 or 2 more, one from Southern Tire Mart, just so we'll have it, so we can
Okay.
compare.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll get that.
And, I mean, these are nothing that you need right now, Mike, right?
No, it's just trying to foresee that, like I said, I only have 1 tire left.
Yeah,
So, I mean, if we blow a couple tires, then I am in a pinch.
so we,
I try to get that for that,
yeah,
the
for that,
10th meeting.
for the meeting on the
10th.
10th, if y'all get those, and we'll put that on that agenda too, and so with that being said, I'll make a motion, we table 11.2 until August the 10th, until we get the quotes. Any second?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, have a motion and a second to table 11.2 till August the 10th. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those say nay. Okay, we'll table that till August the 10th. Thank you, guys. Y'all get that, that'll help us out. Item 12, discuss and consider taking the necessary action on Chapel Hill Brush 3 engine replacement. Chapel Hill Chief Peterson is requesting the ESD approve the replacement of the engine on the Chapel Hill Brush 3 vehicle. This cost is estimated at $5,476.87. So I guess Chief Peterson, I guess you want to speak on that?
Yes, that's one of our older trucks we got, but it's a truck that we use, especially when we can't get in places and the other one gets stuck. This truck has been a good truck for us, and even the day crew is starting to run that truck more than they do my other 2 trucks because they know they get in places where they can't get other trucks. I know it's an older truck, but it's been, the body and everything else, the motor, everything else, transmission, everything's good on it. There's nothing wrong with that part. It's just the motor that's going down. So,
I believe you have submitted this through the apparatus committee,
yes.
and the determination was that it wasn't justifiable to spend this type of money on this vehicle. So I need to understand why it needs to come. Why is it at the board level if we've reached that decision? And what's different about, what are you going to give me different that would lead us to make a different decision? I mean, I'm going to ask Mike, is it a truck that is still good, still have serviceable time on it? Is it worth spending the money?
I mean, it's at an age to where it's fully depreciated, so it's not,
Okay, I'm not concerned about depreciation, I'm talking about usefulness. I mean, we have a lot of.
but we have a lot of,
That is depreciated, so.
yes.
we don't get
And
rid of them.
we have a lot of apparatus in the fleet period too, so we have an abundance of brush trucks that, I mean, it's not a viable, I don't think it's very a viable necessity to spend this kind of money in a brush truck that,
What's the value of the apparatus? As it sits now? Are we talking about, the whole value of the vehicle is gonna be in the new motor we put in it?
What is it? What?
it's a 98,
1990 Chevy.
1990 Chevrolet 1-ton,
Got a gas engine in it?
Yes.
old Chevrolet 350.
Automatic or standard?
Standard,
It's a standard
manual
truck.
transmission.
I have to ask the same question as Mr. Dominic. I think you sit on the apparatus committee, correct? Was it something that was an overwhelming no, or what was the, why didn't this come through the apparatus committee? Or did they deny it and it not get to us?
Well, I say, no, we talked about it, yes, and like Mike said, and it's an older vehicle, but we look at the cost of the engine compared to buying a brand new grass truck, which you know the grass truck, you're looking at $70,000 or more. And we knew we couldn't buy that, to put another truck under that skid. So that's why we thought it would be better if we go with a motor, still having that skid unit and stuff still in good shape.
And you're not fearful that we put in a new engine and then next year transmission and then next year a body and next year a bed and.
Well, the body and bed, everything's in real good shape. We had not any trouble with that at all. And the pump, we just been, we had it refixed here, and I can't remember when it was last time on the pump.
I think it was about 4 years ago.
Yeah, on the pump.
I mean, we're making the argument now, which I've heard the contrary argument for other apparatus. They're old, it's time to move them out of service, we can't use them anymore, we don't need to spend that money on them, and we buy hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of apparatus under that basis. And now we're on the flip saying, so if I say yes to this, then we're getting ready to start running some other equipment a lot longer than what you guys have been asking for.
Mike, is this the truck that's sitting down at White House broke down?
No,
It's down at the shop. right
shop
now.
now.
Oh, you moved it? Okay, yeah,
Yeah, we had to move it out of their lot to just take up
Yeah.
their value.
okay. Like I say, there's stuff broke down.
So when Chief Peterson came to admin and to talk to myself and Mike about this vehicle, we looked at it, the truck's over 30 years old, and just based on the incident reports that we pulled, the truck's ran 24 calls in the last 3 years. So
But I loaned it out to Bullard, and they had it for almost 2 years or more, and I don't think they had it in the system as it was being used. So,
I can't combat that. The only thing I can go off of is the numbers that I do have.
I'm probably one of the few that can still drive a manual transmission, and that's the only thing that worries me is we're putting a motor in an old truck that only a few people can drive, and I have driven that truck. I think when it was at Bullard, I just have trouble. I don't think that it's going to have. I think we're putting as much money into it as it's probably worth. That's my only concern there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a hard time justifying it as being a reasonable expenditure on behalf of the taxpayers of the county.
All right.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I'll make a motion, we don't do it, Johnny.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Wilson that deny the request from Chapel Hill for the motor for 547687. Have a second by Commissioner Dominic. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Sorry, Chief. Item 13, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on the proposed form, proposal from Troop Volunteer Fire Department Chief Mogger for ESD2 to provide necessary matching funds towards the Texas A&M Forest Service grant for the purchase of a brush truck. Chief Mogger?
Yes,
Okay. Tell us about your brush truck or
it's,
matching funds you're requesting?
JD has the paperwork on that thing. I didn't bring them with me tonight because I failed to get that.
It's in their book.
So,
It's a wildfire truck. I went out and got the 3 bids and took the lowest bid of the one, which was wildfire. It's a newer model truck. I don't know what year it's going to be because I hadn't heard anything from them. It may be this year, maybe next year. But it is on order from Wildfire, and I'm asking for the amount to get the truck, and then whenever we get the truck, it'll get inspected. They'll send you a check or send me a check or you a check for the X amount of dollars that it's on there, and then I think there's about a $28,000 difference, I think's what it was, approximately. Like I said, I don't
was
have
the
the
total
figures.
of the truck $149,652?
Somewhere along there, yes, sir.
And the grant was for $128,000?
Yes, sir.
And so you're asking for $21,652?
Yeah, but with the calves, it's 128. Okay. The chassis price was $44,220, and the wildfire body was $95,933. That is with a CAV system on it. And it'll be $149,652, and then $28,000 difference. Or the grant is $128,000, and then the difference will be $21,652.98. That will be your matching set. That will be your matching part of it.
Okay, so we have a quote dated 11/29/21 for that particular item. Is this on order?
Yes, it is on order.
And so you made a commitment on the behalf of the ESD without, I mean, you're coming to us now and asking for matching funds after the fact?
Well, I had turned the stuff over to JD a long time ago.
But it still needs board approval, right?
Well, I assumed it would be put on there.
You gave me one quote, and you never told me that you were ready to proceed.
I'm going to ask that we table this until we can have further discussions on that particular item.
Have a motion by Commissioner Dominic, we table this till we can discuss it further. Have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Commissioner McKeithen. Any other discussion? All right, not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay, we're gonna table it, Tim, we'll get back with you, okay? Item 14, to discuss, consider, and take any necessary action on fire chiefs presenting, discussing issues with the board for future actions. Chief Arnold?
Here at y'all gonna have a special meeting so we can get some of these other items moving forward. because I think the wildland gear is very important, especially the conditions we're getting into. If they continue to deteriorate, it's going to get ugly out there. My department, I have identified all the people that are my permanent runner, my good runners, and my so-so runners. I've told my crews if they need any of that gear to grab it when they need it. Don't worry about it. And I've told my volunteers if they come in and their gear's gone, they can get with me and set at the station because they hadn't been running enough, period. And I don't know whether I've gotten a complaint on me or not from our day crews, but we've had a long conversation about reports and accuracy of reports and getting them done on time. And I was a little blunt, and I think they all appreciated my honesty about it, so hopefully they didn't complain too much about me.
I heard a word.
Well, it was just words. It's okay. We have moved forward with our problem we had with our accounting. We should be getting our final report back on 20 in this week so we can get it to the IRS and everything will be up to date. And I've already presented Mike with my other two, and he's got a copy of one of them. The other one he just looked at and said, you don't have to make me make a copy of that one. When we do get this one, we're going to make a copy of it and bring it to you. That way you'll have one on file. And going forward, whatever policy y'all want to do on that, it's good. Just, I don't care. We'll get her done. We've already been contacted by our auditor and already provided them with some information. And of course, we're waiting on this tax return to get to him so that they can complete whatever they want on the audit. I'm sure there'll be more questions as we go forward, so that's not a big deal. Other than that, on recruitment, we did have 3 applications put in. They're all 3 women. Don't care what they are as long as they get out there and fight fire. So glad to hear that. And as far as evaluating volunteers, we kind of do that quarterly. If we see anybody that's slacking off, we notify them that they're slacking off. We had one young man that turned in his gear this last month because he's young. He's got a life after hours besides the fire department. So until he can calm down and everything, maybe he'll come back to us later. But other than that, everything's going okay.
Mac, I have a comment on the first topic there. I applaud you for taking that. And as far as I'm concerned, you have just as much of a role to govern those guys as the next chief does. And my only recommendation on that is we're not worried about hearing rumors or complaints. As long as stuff's getting done, that's what we want. But have a battalion chief or one of these guys here join you, and that way they see as much authority there.
This was step 1, sir.
A big pardon?
This was step 1.
Sure.
I address it first, and then if I got a problem with it, I go to the battalion chief, and then I go to Chief over here, Chief Smith. So
Well, as far as we're concerned,
I just
or
letting
me,
y'all know that, and
you
letting
have as
them
much
know. I
authority
already
as the
told
next
JD
chief.
that we had a little conversation, and I just making sure I didn't get anything at HR.
I hear you. Thank you, Mac.
Bullard.
Good afternoon. It's been busy. We had 93 incidents for the month of June. There were 3 one-person responses on there. I looked into those. 2 of them were on the same day during our day crew hours. We were having a little bit of difficulty there for a little bit with staffing, making sure we had adequate numbers. But we worked with Chief Smith and Mr. McDonough. We're helping make sure that we have enough coverage there at the station, that we're picking up some of the slack on both sides. So we have volunteer and paid working together during the day to make sure that we have enough numbers to go out and run calls. The third call, the third one-person response was a wildland call out to Dixie for a bulldozer. So it wasn't a true one-person response. Just one person from Bullard went with the bulldozer to Dixie on that call. We had lots of events in June and July. We had our Firefighter for a Day. That's the one where it was a fundraiser with the Bullard Education Foundation, and they auctioned off a package to have some children come out and participate, kind of get a station tour. We had Officer Braddock with the Fish and Game came out with his boat and gave them a little tour of the boat. One of the girls wanted to be a game warden when she got older, so it was a real treat for them. We had Lieutenant Grammer's search and rescue dog. He's a puppy that's in training. He came out and they got to do some of the training with him. So it was a good experience for all of them. We were over at the daycare for a gear and truck demo as part of their summer education program. Kids that are out for the summer, they have an education program to keep them busy. So we were sort of their field trip for the day. Did some firefighter awareness and stop, drop, and roll, all the things that we go around to the schools and participate with. We worked with the Bullard City Library to do their summer reading program, and so it's a few weeks out of the summer where they have kids there, where they have different departments come in and read to the kids. But again, we were sort of their field trip for the day, so we brought a truck over. They came out, they got to see the truck, do a demo, and meet all the firefighters. It was a real good experience for them. July 2nd, we had our boat on the water for the Bella Vista firework standby. It was really busy. We met up again with Officer Braddock and Bearden from Fish and Game, and just if they needed anything, if we needed anything, make sure everybody stayed safe out on the water. It was a good experience with them. July 4th, we had our boat on the water again, did about a 5-hour lake patrol. We didn't have any active calls come in, but we ran across plenty of boaters that were stranded or out of gas or anything like that, needed help getting a phone call made or, getting taken here. They're just making sure people were safe out on the water for 4th of July. For recruitment, we've been pretty busy with recruitment. We started our overnight staffing. So most of the week, typically we'll have an engine crew staffed of 4 to 5 to respond to calls, and then we have another handful of 3 or 4 people that are respond, kind of a second due out in a tender or out of engine 2, out of station 2. One example was Friday night. We were really busy. I think we responded to 5 or 6 calls in a matter of 6 hours, but we had 3 of them occurring at one time. So we had an engine crew assisting Flint. We had our own engine, a second engine out on our own MVA, and then we had a couple of people responding to a medical incident. So it was good to see the participation of crew of 9 or 10 people show up to be able to handle 3 calls simultaneously without any assistance needed. We have 4 brand new members. We have 6 total on probation. 2 of the members are currently taking criminal justice classes with UT. They have an interest in law enforcement on the fire side, so potentially fire marshals or something in that aspect. So they're here to kind of get their feet wet and see what it's all about. We have 5 of the 6 new people starting their SFFMA courses here pretty soon, so we can get them certified. We have 1 enrolled in paramedic school that starts in the fall. We have 2 that start EMT school in the fall. We have another one that's halfway through paramedic school currently, and then we have another one that just finished his national registry for EMT school. So lots of education that's occurring within our department. We also had a couple of members attend TEACs for the summer fire academy. One did advanced firefighting skills, and the other one fire and life safety education. So as far as recruiting, I wanted to mention that we use Facebook quite a bit. We have a pretty good online presence. We have close to about 2,500 followers for just the Bullard Fire Department page. Once we share things on there, we try to do staff highlights. If someone gets sworn into coming off probation or into an officer position, we try to highlight that. They have an oath and swearing in. That gets put on there. Once it gets shared out, usually several times, like the last one, had a reach of over about 16,000. So we try to use that to our advantage to bring more participation into the department. We plan on continuing that. We're going to try to start to implement station tours, apparatus highlights, trainings, things like that onto our Facebook page as well to kind of keep the community engaged. And the last thing I wanted to mention is as far as grants, we try to keep our ear to the ground as far as financial opportunities that come in to help provide more resources to our department and the county. And of course, we always keep an eye out for those 2604 grants and the Texas Forestry Service grants. But we're sending one person to grant writing school to sort of be our grant administrator. And the school that we're sending him to is going to be specific for first responder grants. And so afterwards, he'll have access to a full database of federal, state, and local nonprofit type grants that we might be, have access to be able to get some more resources pulled in for us. Anyway, that's all I have.
How much does that school cost?
That's only about $500.
500.
And one thing I looked into when I talked to her is she said if we were to put on a class here in the county that I think they want a class of 15, that we would get 2 or 3 free seats out of that. I tried to, just to make sure, I called Texas Forest Service to see if it was 2604 grant refundable, but it's not part of their fire training funds that they have available for that. So we just decided to spend that out of pocket.
I'd like to see us look at putting that in our budget for 11 departments next year, and encourage guys if they want to do that. I think that could actually benefit us quite a bit.
Well, in the past, there's been, I might find a grant, someone else will find a grant, someone else will have 3 or 4 people working simultaneously on different grants, but it'd be good to have all this funneled through one person who has all the data, the narrative, all our exposures and everything that are within our district so that it's uniform.
Oh, yeah. I think all 11 departments ought to have somebody trained to do that, because I know I don't know how. So, thank you, Peter.
Welcome.
Chapel Hill?
You see here, I got 14 one-man response. If I gone through them, I got 7 of those are our day crew, which sometimes, like today, they only have 1 man at my station because I guess one called in sick. But I've been working with them that if that ever happens, they need to call me. And I try to get some guys to go up there and help man that day with him as well. So that's probably why they might have ran a call before we got a guy up there. That's why you get the 1 man response.
So you only had 1 man at your station today?
Yeah, one today, because the man was been, I guess, calling sick. I'm not sure what happened. I didn't get into that. Today, I'm at.
We moved the guy over there about
But-
9:30 or 10 this
Right.
morning to be the second guy as soon as we found out he was on there.
Okay. Yeah, Zach didn't call me back and tell me what happened, so I just know it. He calls me pretty regular when he's by himself. So I work with him pretty well on trying to make somebody there until they get another guy there once they find out. Okay. We've been doing pretty good training. In fact, we just had a emergency traffic management class that's required by our commission and SFMA. I had there with 15 people. I actually had White House. I had them came. They helped me out. I had a good class on that. I had Joe Yakeley from the fire chief from Lindale taught it for me. And then on top of that, we're working on getting the NIMS 300 and 400. And hopefully if we can get it started this month, if not, we'll start in September. He's going to come back and give me some dates on that. So anybody needs 300, 400, we can start that as well. And I also have, I got 1 person in EMC class right now. She's about ready to finish up here, about 2 more weeks. So she'll be finishing up on that part as well. Recruiting wise, we, 4th of July, we went to one of our churches, which they call us every year. To sit by is why they shoot fireworks and stuff, and talk to the kids there. And then I got one coming up August the 6th, would be this next weekend. It'll be at the high school, which we'll be sitting up down there and try to see about recruiting some kids from the high school there as well. Other than that, that's it, unless you got any questions.
Got any new,
I do got one ahead. I don't know if you got it back to you. I'll have to find out. I sent it to you. I'll make sure if you didn't get it, I'll have to resend it to you. I had one just sent in as a female I had trying to join. Last name is Moore. I remember her first name. Okay, it's through the computer. I just have to, might not come through right. Okay, I'll try to resend it. If not, I'll bring it hand. I'll give you a hand one to you. Okay.
I've got a quick question on What is our procedure for roll call? Do we do a roll call? I know that we've had this issue in Bullard before.
It's at 9:30. It's when we do roll call. That gives everybody a chance to kind of get their trucks checked off and everything. So they're doing the roll call at 9:30. The battalion chiefs, captain have all been instructed that if somebody's short, let's get somebody over there. So in that scenario, I'm not sure where they came from, but it could take just a little bit if they're having to pull the guy from, Bullard to go to Chapel Hill or Winona to go to Bullard, it might take them a minute to get there, but they are literally moving people around. We're doing overtime when we need to, so.
But isn't the norm normally that you leave when your relief gets there? So how come we're not holding over people
He's
until?
an 8-hour day station.
Either, yeah.
My apologies.
Yeah,
I forgot.
Yep.
Thank you.
The reason it took so long this morning was the firefighter was moved, had a random med call in the White House, cardiac arrest, and rode in on the ambulance. So I had to get him from the hospital, get him back to the White House to get his stuff so he could get over to.
Thank you, Van Wiegel. I'm not necessarily questioning y'all's practices. I trust you on getting that stuff done. I just want to make sure that we're keeping a close eye on that. I want those guys, those stations covered properly, and sometimes that kind of accidentally gets by us sometimes. So.
Thank you, Dale. Chief York, Dixie?
How y'all doing?
All right.
I've been kind of flying low. I did have another back surgery. I think you and I talked about it. It's going good. So, anyway, we had 97 incidents and 2 one-person responses. That was on a medical call one night. The events, I need to go in there with my training officer and see that those need to be entered in there in the computer on meeting nights, training, and all that stuff needs to be entered, and it's not getting entered. So,
Well, on that one-person responses at night, where was your paid crew?
I think that was on another
They
call.
on another call?
Mhm.
Okay, well, that explains it then.
Yeah. So somebody branched off, went on a medical call. But, everything else is going good. I got one guy just applied, was waiting on the 3 meetings. Once he completes the 3 meetings, we'll turn the paperwork in to Miss Sherry and get that going. So, other than that,
You had a big event out there at your station for the air show, didn't you?
yes, yes,
They had participation from several different districts over there with you?
yes, several. Chief, they're drawing a blank, looking right at you.
We had, of course, Dixie, ESD2 personnel. We had Bullard, ARP. I think that was it. We kept others in service. We were trying not to pull too many over there, but it went pretty well. I think everybody enjoyed working with some folks from other departments that maybe they don't work with very much. So it was a good event.
I had to work that day, so I couldn't be there. I know it was hot.
I wouldn't have been there either. And just real quick, I understand that there was water leaks around that station over there.
Yes, sir.
Have those been fixed now, or are they still?
And the one out on Dixie Drive is 150 gallons a minute.
So is it ours, or is it Southern
Yeah.
Utilities that's leaking?
City of Tyler.
It's a lot of
City of
water.
Tyler?
They've come out and marked it and then haven't been back, I guess. So
They don't want you to water your yard.
The other one on my airport, I think it's fixed. There's 2 there. There's one at the airport, and the other one out by the road. And I think the one up at the airport, that'd be something like, in fact, they turned the water off in the station for a whole week.
Yeah.
Go down there
Station
and
one.
tap it, screw you in a hose and water the yard.
I'll tell you, we have a very nice oil.
Any other questions? No? Okay, thank you, Matt.
Thank y'all.
Flint Gresham?
Good evening. The 3 one-person responses, one of them is a report error. One of our paid staff went to a fire alarm across the street. The other 2 stayed at the station. They should have been put on the report. It was a repeat. I can see Chief Smith over there questioning it. It was a repeat alarm at the Catholic Church. They were doing construction over there. It was 99% certain when we knew what it was. They had already been over there 3 times, and so they just sent a brush truck over. The other guys were standing by at the station, you know, literally across the street. So if anything was of it, they would have been there real quick. But they should have been on the report as standby. The other one, the other 2 are not true one-person responses. I was responding with Battalion 1, one of them in White House. We were already in White House for an MBA. Got a call for a person trapped under a vehicle, so Battalion 1 and I responded to it. And White House responded to it as well with a full crew. And the other one was a illegal burn, or supposedly an illegal burn, while our crew was out on a structure fire in Noonday. Again, Battalion 1 and I ran the illegal burn, but it's not a true one-person response. It's just the way that that report gets generated. Training-wise, we had 8 people attend the municipal school last week. That was last week, wasn't it? I slept. 8 people went to that. We had people in wildland, firefighting, rope rescue, ag rescue, public information officer, and life safety educator. So a total of 8 of us were there. We also did a number of events during July for the 4th of July events. The normal annual event that we have at Knollwood, went out and helped White House with their event at, I'm pulling a blank on the name of the church that's there, Pleasant Hills, thank you. And also the normal event that we do at Chief Stone's church, which is actually in the city of Tyler's jurisdiction, but we help them out with traffic control and spot fires from the fireworks. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else to bring up. Do you have any questions?
You got any new recruits?
We do have one new that's actually going through the process. I talked to him just right before this this meeting. I'm tired, apparently. He has gone through everything. I think they're just waiting on the employment verification piece. But once that's done, then we'll get him in the system. He is, his family, his father used to be a volunteer for us a long time ago, well before my time. So he's back in town and is wanting to volunteer with us. So he'll be a good resource. Yes. Yeah. Same one. And he was there helping us clean out Station 2. Oh, by the way, the Volunteer Firefighters Association meeting is at Flint Station 2 on Tuesday, I believe. What is it?
No, Tuesday.
Tuesday of next week. Tuesday of next week. Yeah, the 9th. Apparently we need to send an email out about that one, but it's supposed to be on the 9th.
All right.
For the Chiefs meeting.
No, for the association meeting. The Chiefs meeting is this Thursday.
Is this Thursday at Station 1?
Too many things going on.
Email.
Email, yeah. Any other questions?
Too many meetings.
Okay.
All right. Back Jackson Heights.
Good afternoon. We've had 59 incidents for the month of June. We've seen an increase in calls going to assist other departments. I want to thank the paid guys for being there because we couldn't do it without them. It's been a hard struggle for us, and we're still working to correct and bring in more volunteers. As far as the recruitment goes, we have finished with our banners. They are available, and we're supposed to pick those up today, but Chief King could not go pick those up. We've had 3 people contact us, but nobody has stepped forward. We have contacted them, and we are having our meeting tomorrow. We'll see if they show up, but we have 3 people contact us, but they have not stepped forward. Brush 1 right now is on a TIFLess deployment. We did launch Facebook, so we do have a Facebook page now. We're going to have an influx of visitors this weekend because the Jackson School is going to have their All Jackson reunion. So hopefully some of those people that come back into town we can talk to those people and get those involved into the community too. So maybe we can pull some of those people back to the community to volunteer for us. As far as reports goes, I had to do like Mac, and I had to talk to my paid staff too about reports, but it's looking a lot better. You see there's no incomplete reports, well, one incomplete reports, and there's no missing reports. So it is getting a lot better. Y'all have any questions for me?
No, but I'd like to ask everybody in the room that, go support Jackson and support other departments by sharing and liking. And that Facebook has been very good for Bullard. I see it all over town, and everybody makes mention of it. It's just a good way to be in the public eye, and I would like everybody like Jackson, share Jackson's post, and you do likewise for everyone else. So help each other on that front.
I do want to say that Chief King has taken the training role on a positive. He has been contacting Chief Clanton, and we have had training with Chapel Hill, ARP, and Winona. So we are doing.
That's great.
Any other questions for me?
Noonday, Chief Harper.
All right, first off, as not only a chief of this district, but as a citizen of Flint, I don't care if we have to go to the building 10 times on a fire alarm. I'd like to see a full engine company at that fire alarm. So I'm not Monday morning quarterbacking it, and I don't know all the details. One thing, we do have a new member. We're going to bring him on Thursday. We've got to do the final paperwork. We've got potentially 2 more members that are in the works. Most of our recruitment has been through word of mouth. We have, last week we formed a recruitment committee that one of our members actually went to the city of Tyler a couple months ago on a conference that was geared towards recruitment of volunteers. So we're gonna get the ground or hit the floor running on that, and hopefully get some more volunteers out of that. I attended the Texas A&M school this last week. I want to thank the board for allowing us to do that. Chief Clanton for making the hotel reservations. It was a very informative class. Learned quite a bit of stuff there. One question that I do have is on the bookkeeping and the taxes. I know the bookkeepers or each department gets $200 a month. Is that for the department bookkeeper, or does that money supposed to go to whoever does our taxes? So
whoever your bookkeeper is, that's up to y'all.
Okay.
Pay your bookkeeper.
So does the board or will the ESD pay for, in addition to having the taxes filed with the bookkeeping? I guess that's kind of.
I know most, it's one and the same, correct?
We pay our bookkeepers, and then usually we submit our invoice from whoever our accountant is to y'all to pay for the actual $9.90 or any other forms that we need.
That's how we've
That's
historically
the way
done it.
we've done it in the past.
Okay, so $200 a month for the bookkeeper. When we file our taxes, submit the invoice for reimbursement for the taxes, correct? Okay. One thing, noonday, we had came in as a fire alarm at a commercial building. It ended up being a full working structure fire. At the same time that everybody was working that fire, Flint toned out a structure fire as well. I will say that it's the first time since I've been here that I've actually seen Tyler come and help us out. I hope that continues and we continue building that relationship. I know previously, I fear that the day that the Villages catches on fire, that's going to be a bad day. But in past, I've told, don't call Tyler, call Longview. Well, I'll stand before you after the fire and I'll take the chewing, but I will be calling Tyler if it comes to that. So, Chief Smith, thank you for working on that relationship, and I'd like to see us hopefully train a little bit more with the city of Tyler and maybe get to work with them a lot more. At this time, on behalf of Noonday Fire Department, I'd like to ask Josh Britton to come up, and Noonday Fire Department would like to present the Smith County Professional Firefighters number 5300, a check in the amount of $500 to go towards their charity golf tournament. Thank you. And last but not least, I'm going to start saying it every month at every meeting, boat. We need to start looking at some type of, whether we're going to be in the boat business or not, but I've got a 23-year-old boat that's, we put Band-Aids on it every year. So I like to potentially see that get brought up in the apparatus committee or future talks, but from here on out, I'm just going to keep putting the bug in your ear.
You had a lead on some potential watercraft.
Yes.
From there, any development for that?
No, they've got 3 brand new boats that we'd love to have, but they don't want to release them until their contract is up, and that's another 1.5 years. So we've talked to them, tried to make.
You that was the case, I just wasn't sure about the
Yeah,
timeline, so.
no, we're still 1.5 years out, but we've, my Assistant Chief Barnett, we've been looking at it, every type of grant we can to try to get a boat, but.
I look on military surplus, looking for them as well. Just
Yeah.
You don't find them real.
Right. So, that's all I've got, unless you have any questions.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Chief Harper. Ridge Springs? Nobody? Troop?
Well, we've had 37 incidents, and our one-person responses are medical calls, usually in the evening. I've got 2 fairly new recruits, and I've passed out a employment deal to one of them today, so I've got another one pending.
A total of 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we were contacted by the Professional Firefighters Union the other day, and we joined 2 of their folks with 2 of our folks, myself and Chief Champion, and we went over and served supper for the, or presented supper for the Officer Busto, however you say it, I don't know. That's pretty much it.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you. White House, Chief Champion?
So on our report, we had 72 calls, 14 was one-person responses, still heavy on that. A lot of that's medical calls. The incomplete report, I've got one that I keep having show up all the time. I need to get Larry to look into it. I can't find the report on it. Don't know what it is. Loads of events for the last month. Started out, we had fireworks show on Lake Tyler. Then we had fireworks show at Pleasant Hills, which Flint helped us with. There was supposed to have been one other one, I think, one there, Larry, and it got canceled, that we were supposed to have. Outside of that, the biggest event that we had and just had recently, We group together with Flint every year. There's a couple of churches over at Flint that what they do, they group together and they get kids that have been took away from their parents for one thing or other and are in foster homes. They take them down to Green Acres Retreat, which is in our district, and they take them down for Friday, Saturday. I think it's Friday and Saturday. Take them fishing, skiing, all kinds of events, and just try to give them, let them know that all people in life is not bad, okay? One weekend they do girls, the next weekend they do boys. Last year, because of COVID, we didn't do it. The year before we did it, we had the boys. The police had the girls. This year, Friday, I think it was a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, we had the girls this year. And what we do, the churches provide all the condiments that go with it. We cook hamburgers for them and feed them hamburgers. We cooked 150 hamburgers. We had girls. The girls was ranging anywhere from 11 years old to 16 years old. We had some girls that were saying, I never eat a burger, but these are the best burgers that we've ever had. And they had a ball with it. Took them out, let them play with the trucks. In our group of going down there, we also had our training captain with us, which it was Tully at the time on duty, so he got to go with us. And we set up a brush truck down there, sprayed water for the girls, let the girls spray the water. They had a ball with it. They always do. Next year we'll do it again. We'll do the boys again. We let everybody know that how strict it is and what's going on. And I mean, each one of these, I think they told us they had 60 girls. Each one of the girls has 2 to 3 counselors on top of them the whole time they're there. Monitoring them, keeping an eye on them. They ask us, they have 2 of the girls from the churches that they do any picture taking or anything like that. We can't do none whatsoever. That's how much it is and with what everything's going on. But it was a great deal. Everybody had a good time. And I believe that's all I got, unless y'all got something for me.
All right. Thank you, Chief. Winona? Davey? Oh, Gene, I was going to ask you, excuse me, I do. Did you have any new recruits or anything? Or
We got one that we were to vote him in tonight. We're going to have to do him to the next meeting because just my 2 captains are there tonight. So we're going to have to get him voted in. We've got another one that we've got our stuff back on him. Our board's got to meet with him and go with him from there. Okay. The one that we were supposed to vote on tonight, we had an instance, I think it was Friday night or Thursday night, that we had telephone poles go down. They had these big transformers on them. I'm not talking about a transformer.
yeah.
I'm talking about, and it come into us as a car versus telephone pole.
Yeah.
When we got on the scene, the first thing we looked at, they're roaring and on fire. Encore told us each one of those transformers holds 55 gallons of oil, and all 3 of them was burning. When we first got on the scene, like I say, it come in as vehicle versus telephone pole. We started looking for holes in the fence because it was inside pasture fence. There wasn't no holes. So anyhow, our new recruit, he lived just right up the road from it, so he started up that way. He seen the smoke from all the oil burning and everything, and he jumped right in there and helped us with it too. And we shut down 110 for probably 30 minutes. Before we were in on the transformers fixing to start spraying foam and water on them, and then we backed off because the power lines were still hooked to the telephone poles. We were worried about them when they burned loose, which direction they were gonna go, so we kind of backed off and just let it do its own thing for a little while before we moved in there and put the fire out.
All right.
But like I say, he was right down there with us, on top of it, with us, and you know,
All right.
was a
Thank you,
big
Jimmy.
help, so.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Davey.
All right, hello. We have like seven one-person responses. One of them was an MVA, like at 6:30 in the morning, where we don't have very many people. Luckily, the BC and captain was at back porch in Winona eating breakfast, and they run on that call. We had one volunteer that went to the station, and they canceled when, that's apparently not much to it, so they canceled him before he pulled out with the truck. We had 2 other fire alarms, one at an industrial place and the other one at the Veterans Home. Both of those were canceled before we could get a truck en route. Proper cancellation. And the 2 medical calls, they just going to assist EMS for lift assist. We did have 2 fireworks events last month. One at the Stillwater RV Resort, the new one out there at Barber Road. That was on a Saturday night. It was great. No, they had kind of small, but great. They have help us out some volunteers and funding. Also, we had a community-wide put on by all the churches and stuff in the school on Monday night, the 4th, up here at the high school. It was a community-wide. It was really big. It was nice. We did submit 3 applications this past week to HR for new recruits. Y'all have anything else? Okay.
All right, thank you.
Johnny, can I say it online?
Yeah,
I meant to
Chief.
say this when I was up there a while ago. I'm glad to see that we got 3 people interested in this board position, because one thing that worried me ever since they said we had to elect them, is we could actually find people that actually wanted to be elected and come and serve on this board. And I commend all 3 of y'all for showing interest. Thank you very much.
All right. Item 15, training vision report. Are we getting out at night doing anything with the volunteers? It just shows you had 2 nighttime and 2 weekend offerings, so.
We had 2 offerings. One was up in the Winona area and, or actually Jackson, I guess. And there were 3 departments represented there.
Okay.
And then we had another offering, I think on the 25th. At ARP, I think. And some troop guys were over there. And I think maybe some Jackson came across too. I'm not sure about that, but yeah, we've had some stuff going on. Like I say, month of July with teaks and everything is a little bit of a slow month for us typically.
Okay.
Everybody's gone for a week and they get their fill.
Right. All right.
Of training.
Yeah.
Of training.
Yeah, make sure. All right. Item 16, Human Resources Officer Report.
Okay. We got the renewal in for the 2022 to 23 year, and it came in higher than we had hoped for. It's a 21% increase. Because it came in so late, it limited us or me, the ability to get outside quotes. We did ask the current broker to get us more quotes than what she came with, but she had difficulties with that. We could not find a company. She says she couldn't find a company that would quote us based on our claims for the year. She did come back later, though, and was able to get one quote from Blue Cross Blue Shield, but it was not competitive. So my recommendation is to go ahead and renewal at our current plan and then continue to shop it. Just because we renew at this point doesn't mean that we're locked in. So if we can find another carrier, another broker that can bring us better rates, then I would suggest that we swap later. Probably wouldn't be till January would be my guess, maybe December, but most likely January. So that's my recommendation, that we go ahead and just keep what we have, even though it is an increase.
When does it expire?
It expires 8/31. The new plan year is 9/1. And that's the other issue, is that we just have such a limited time. And then I'd like to start open enrollment if I can on this coming Monday, the 8th, I believe it's the 8th, for that week. And so, yeah, we just ran out of time. We just got the quote back from her, the renewal, just too late for us to really be able to quote it.
And what you're asking for is to renew at $56,518.78, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Make a motion that we approve the renewal for $56,518.78.
Have a motion by Commissioner Dominy and a second by Commissioner Wilson to renew our benefit quote for $56,518.78. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
I had something else to say,
Go
if
ahead.
that's all right. I also wanted to point out there were no safety reports for this month, so I had nothing to report on safety. So that was good.
I think that's just the opposite.
Oh, you think that's the opposite?
Better it is, because it
Okay.
means that we're looking forward and recognizing the risk that we have, where we don't have any reports. I know there's something happening.
Something
Okay.
ought to be happening.
Well, none were reported, so I have nothing to report on safety.
I will say that I didn't necessarily submit it to a report, but I spoke directly to on the issue of the use of bunker gear on fires. Because that is bad news.
And you're saying our insurance carrier won't pay for somebody if they get heat exhaustion wearing bunker gear?
On a wildland fire, when it wasn't necessary, they're gonna question it, promise you.
I'd like to see them put that in writing.
So I would also like you to update us here in the near future on looking at the alternatives to.
For the health, okay,
Keep abreast on what we're gonna be able to do there.
yes.
We'll just anticipate any other ones that we may not necessarily get our quotes back in. We need to go and probably be preemptive and go out ahead of time.
Right, I agree. Yeah.
Just to add on that, we have begun a process to search for that very thing, so we're working on it already.
Yes. Yeah, we've got some things in the works already.
Okay.
Then also I wanted to give you an update on UKG. That's the discovery is going on with that. It's looking like we won't be able to go live until November 1. I'm still pushing for 10/1, but they're telling me it's probably going to be 11/1 before we can have our first payroll. So I just thought I'd give you an update on that. And then we have a new hire in the IT department, and that's Paul Rivard, I'm sorry, Paul Revere. Sorry about that. Paul Rivard. And he's our IT tech too, and he just started today, actually, so.
I like Revere better.
Revere. I'm sorry, Paul. But yeah, and that's all I have.
Okay. Item 17, Chief Information Officer report.
All right, y'all have the report in front of you, so I'm not going to waste everybody's time reading it. A couple of updates, though. OpenGov's progressing good. We're on target for our go-live date to be reached. We're right now going through the implementation and training process, and so we're like 2 meetings a week, plus I have a project sync meeting, so it's 3 or 4 meetings a week with OpenGov during this process. The main tower, the 400-foot tower at Fleet, construction's finished. They did have an issue today with one of the wires that were damaged, so the crew's coming back out to replace that wire that was damaged during equipment hoisting. So that's under warranty. They're doing that. So once that's done, we'll start the actual alignments probably 2 weeks from now.
They actually damaged it?
Yes, they did.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll start alignments probably 2 weeks to 2.5 weeks from now, and start bringing sites online on that new tower. In addition to that, the server room 2 move is complete. We were delayed by about 19 days based on our initial projections, and that was mainly just waiting for the building to be delivered, but it was on budget. This storage migration and NAS virtualization, we were 4 months behind on that one due to staffing shortages, but it was about $4,500 under budget. And the new server project was also on budget with a 5-month delay due to staffing shortages. There was one other project, I believe, that we needed to touch base on. I can't recall what that was. We're going to start the phone system migrations next week. So during that time, there'll be incompatibilities with extensions because the extension lists are all changing. So we'll get those new extension lists sent out. And as we take on sites, the extensions will not match up. So during that implementation week, you won't be able to dial by extensions, short term. So that should be site by site. And then an email will go out once that's complete. Other than that, unless the board has any questions for me, that's all I'm going to have.
Fleet maintenance report, Mike.
All right, as you can see in your books, we have the number of work orders we've completed. We're still going through performing the PMs and outstanding work orders. I did talk to Siddons Martin Waxahachie Paint and Body Shop. They do have all the parts in for the ladder truck, and they have started this week. They are to have started the repair, and they're anticipating it back by the end of this month, hopefully. As I found out from Chief Smith earlier, we have received the insurance check for Jackson Engine 2 repair, so it'll be getting a replacement side body and then the repair of the rear of the truck. And they couldn't give me an estimated time. It's just going to depend on how fast they get materials in.
So the ladder should be back by the end of August?
They're anticipating it. They're hoping it shouldn't take with everything in. It wasn't, I mean, it was a big crash, or it was a big incident, but it wasn't anything too major. Yeah. There was a lot of cosmetic stuff, so.
Stay on them.
Yeah.
Make sure that 2 weeks don't turn into 2 months.
Oh, I know. That's
2 years or whatever.
I'm hoping we don't have this problem with this sitting shop, so like we did with WTR.
All right. And did you ever figure out about getting a license to do inspections on our vehicles so we can keep those things inspected?
That has to be, the application has to be filled out by the owners of the organization. So there's nothing that I can do moving forward with that.
So we have to the board has to fill it out?
The board, or yes.
Also, the thing that we researched was that he would actually only be able to inspect vehicles that are titled to ESD2. So if a VFD owns a vehicle, he wouldn't be able to do it.
No.
So with
we
everything.
We can do the ones that are titled to us. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, there shouldn't be that very many more that are titled to the VFDs, I wouldn't think. Huh? Mm-hmm. Whatever. So, anyway, so, how many do we have that are still titled to just to the VFDs?
I'm not exactly sure. There's quite a bit. I'd almost say it's probably a 60-40 split. When you talk about 100% of the vehicles, it's probably a 60-40 split.
So 60 of them are titled to us and 40 to them?
60% are titled to them and 40% are titled to the district.
Just a quick question. Would it be easier just when their PMs come in, go get them inspected? When they come in for a PM, driving down to the place?
Well, it all depends on when their registration is expired too. So it normally doesn't line up with our PMs, but we do have Dale and Judy Acker that have taken on the role of making sure all that stuff stays up to date, and they've done a really good job of it.
Yeah, well, Dale's out right now with a busted shoulder.
His wife does as much as he does on the too.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Get back down here. Financial Administrator Report. Chief Operations Report, I'm sorry, yeah.
Okay. Again, like normal, I put my my information there in the packet for you. There is one thing to update that I received today. On the SCBA masks, the medium and large masks are ready to ship. So we should get those pretty soon. The smalls will be here at the end of August, beginning of September. So that one will actually get to be taken off the list. The RIT packs, we still don't have an estimate on that. Our hose testing is complete. We do currently have TIFMAS deployment. We have brush truck and a tender. They are actually in separate locations. They're not working the same incidents. I'd like to thank Chief Peterson on the tender, Chief Thompson on the brush truck. The reserve truck was in the shop whenever this came in, so we just basically switched the two. And the reserve truck should be out at Jackson at this point. So the reimbursements are in process. I actually saw this morning, Sarah showed me that we have received a payment as of like Friday for a previous deployment. I know that Chief Clanton's working really hard to make that stuff happen. We had several members attend TEACS. I know Chief Clanton talked about that. We also had some people, some staff that were instructors. We had 4 members of the organization that presented at the SFFMA conference last month. So they actually presented at the conference. So it was Trotty, Van Winkle, Josh Bardwell, and Keith Tate all presented at that last month. We're currently staffing 2 of our dozers with a dedicated person, so one dozer 7 days a week, and the other one is 5 days a week. This is due to the increased use of the dozers to make sure that we have those available. We've also modified our response to wildland fires to the best of our ability at this point, and the goal is to get 2 brush trucks on every grass fire. So we can get a hard hit initially on the fires, potentially keeping them from getting much larger. Currently monitoring all of that, and we'll continue to make further decisions as we go forward on what other resources we need to send. I would like to say that I'd like to tell everybody good job. The night of July 13th and into the morning of the 14th, we had 4 structure fires almost back to back to back. We had a mobile home fire, we had the commercial fire in Noonday, we had the structure fire in Flint, and then the next morning I think assisted Lindale with another structure fire. So everybody worked really hard. I know it was 105 degrees outside, and so I appreciate everybody's hard efforts. Again, there was people coming from all over the county to come and help. Since then, we have also I've noticed that we're still having incidents. We had a pretty severe motor vehicle accident a week and a half ago, and then later that afternoon we had one on the interstate that was almost as equally bad, but it was just as complicated. So everybody's doing a great job out there, and so I definitely want to say kudos to all of you. Furthermore, this afternoon Chief Murillo sent out an email regarding the funeral for the fallen officer on Friday. If you have folks that can help, please respond to Chief Murillo. We've arranged for Tyler Fire in Lindale to hang the flag, but we're needing some help with some parking and things like that. So Chief Murillo is coordinating that. That came about because the sheriff's office contacted him the lieutenant in the sheriff's office contacted him. So I have spoken to him, and so if you need anything or want to help, please get with him.
So you said we got reimbursement on one of the TIFMAS appointments?
That's the one I saw. Sarah just happened to show it to me today. And so I'm not sure. I bet Eric would know if we've gotten any others since in the last month. Not that you're aware of? Okay.
Okay. All right. Item 20, Financial Administrator's Report. I understand that before going further, that there was problems you found with the audit. Is that
Yes, sir.
correct? So we won't present it tonight? We'll,
No, the plan is to table that, and then we'll take it up at the next meeting.
okay. All right.
I've spoken with the auditors, and they are amending the 2 pages in question.
Okay. All right. All right. 20.1, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action related to the approval of the updated depository agreement with Bank, formerly known as Citizens National Bank, and authorization of the President of the Board of Commissioners to execute updated depository agreement with Bank, formerly known as Citizens National Bank.
Correct. What prompted this was that we had a wish to move balances from the demand deposit account into a money market account so we could earn some more interest on it. And when, in so doing, we investigated what exactly we had agreement-wise with Bank, and was a 10-year-old depository agreement that was lacking certain documents. And after consulting with our legal counsel, we thought the best thing to do was simply to update the agreement, present it to the board, and get an updated agreement in place.
Do you not see it beneficial to get bids from other banks for interest rates?
Absolutely. This should be considered to be an interim step, so we can immediately move some money over and earn, instead of 0.1%, we can earn 0.65. But we're also working on an updated investment policy, which would then involve an RFP for new depository agreements as well as new investment accounts.
Okay, good.
So this is, by no means, it's not perfect. There are deficiencies in it without question, but it's the best we can do right now, and it's much improvement over what we have coming.
Okay.
You want a motion on that?
I need a motion on 20.1 to be able to sign it.
I'll make a motion to authorize the president of the board to execute an updated depository agreement with Bank, formerly known as Citizens National Bank.
Have a motion by Commissioner McKeithen to update the depository agreement with Bank, formerly known as Citizens National Bank, and to have the president to sign the authorization. Have a second? Have a second by Commissioner Domney. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item 20.2 and 20.3, I believe, will be tabled until the auditor has made the corrections to the audit. Is that right? Yes, sir. Okay. And now we'll move on to 20.4, which is verbal report on budget process, new tax rate process, OpenGov finance module implementation, and upcoming investment policy.
I'll try and be brief.
That's a lot. It's a lot to talk about.
The budget process, we basically have done most of the heavy lifting, and all the individual requests have been consolidated into a master Excel file. And having done that, then myself and Executive Administrator McDonough and the main department heads, we sat down and we tried to vet these individual requests. And the goal is, when it comes to the board workshop, the staff will already have vetted it down, so you don't have to start up here to bring it down, but it's somewhat at a more sanity level. That's the ultimate goal. The new tax rate process, I had no idea the tax rate process was so involved. It's a sea of rules and regulations, but fortunately I have had the chance of getting lots of free consultation from Council of Linebarger. They are the expert on this, and they have volunteered. I can chat with them an hour if I so wish have a pretty strong and good understanding of what the process is going to need to be over the next few weeks. And I have a timeline that I can pass out to the board here that outlines what needs to be done and dates and so forth. That should serve as a good basis for the next several weeks going forward. The third big item on my agenda is the Open Gov core financials modules. Since I started 5 weeks ago, I've been sitting on the twice a week training sessions together with the financial coordinator, Sarah. And we're being trained on the core financial modules, what needs to be done. Currently, the lead finance project leader is Bill, my predecessor. So he has been leading that. I understand he's going to see it through completion and then be available for the next few months post-implementation. But lately I've started taking more and more of an active role in this whole project. And as soon as this budget and the tax is done, my intention is to step up significantly on that activity, unless the board says otherwise. But that would be my inclination. And lastly, as we know, the cash balances have grown, and as have interest rates recently. And we should be able to earn much, much more on the balances we have without increasing the risk level at all. So I have been working on an investment policy together with Board Treasurer Dominic, and the hope is within 2-3 weeks we should be able to present an investment policy to the board that potentially could contribute hundreds of thousands of dollars in extra earnings. So that's it.
All right. Thank you, Eric. And good job on finding out how to make us some more money too. That's a good deal. You can always use that. All right, 21, Executive Administrator Report. Mike?
Thank you, Board President. You have my written report in your packet. I'll be brief. Just a couple of things on the budget process. As Eric outlined, we have tentatively scheduled this August 10th special board meeting. Would want the board to consider what time you would like that meeting. And we can discuss that a little further at your leisure. And also the budget workshop on August 12th. If you have suggestions of time, that typically would be a longer meeting, of course. Although the staff is working very hard, and I'm very pleased with their performance in when we get to that point, being able to provide you with concise information. You're not going to have to start at the bottom and work your way up. We're going to have a lot of stuff ready for you, so it won't be so tedious. The other items that are on there are pretty self-explanatory. Things are progressing. I will say that the list of VFDs that have their 990 forms on file is improving. I've received several in the last 4 or 5 days, and so I will update that list at the next meeting. But there's a concerted effort to be done, or to get that done. We have engaged the auditor to perform the audits on the VFDs, and we've communicated that out to the VFD chiefs, and so that process is moving forward. I've proposed some standing committees. This is my suggestion. I'm open for discussion again by the board, but I think what I've seen in the 2 months or so that I've been here, we're doing some reorganization. We're getting a foundation set up to improve our processes going forward, and I'm very encouraged by what I'm seeing. We've got a lot of work to do, but we have a lot of talent and a lot of energy to make that happen. And then this Thursday, the last item, I'm excited to hear that the volunteer chiefs have set up a meeting this Thursday evening, and I'm going to get to meet with them, and we'll have a grand discussion. It was about different topics, but a lot of communication going on. Very encouraging. Any questions about my report or anything else for that matter?
Nope. Sir? Don't have any. Thank you. All right. Item 22 will be a closed session. The board will convene in closed session in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551.071, 551.072, and the 5074. No action shall be taken while the board is in closed session. Any final action, final decision, or final vote shall be taken after the board reconvenes in open session. And we are adjourned at 9:11. I call this meeting back to order at 11:04 p.m. Item 23.1, there's no action to be taken on that by the board at this time. 23.2, discuss, consider taking any necessary action regarding the contract status with Jackson Heights VFD. There's no action to be taken at this time. Item 23.3, discuss, consider taking any necessary action related to appointment of person to fill vacant board of commissioners seat. I want to thank all three of you gentlemen that showed up to do it. I think they've all gone home. But anyway, so there's not much else I can say if they're going home. But anyway, I'll entertain a motion to fill the vacant position on the Board of Commissioners at this time.
Motion is to make, to fill the vacant seat with Mr. Brad Edwards, as recommended by prior Commissioner Leroy Biggers.
Okay, have a motion by Commissioner Dominy to fill the vacant Board Commissioner seat with Mr. Brad Edwards, who was recommended by Commissioner Leroy Biggers, who retired. Do I have a second? Have a second by Charles Wilson. Any other comment? Or hearing none? He will fill Leroy's unexpired term, and that will end on December 31st of this year. So, okay. Any other question or discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. And we will get him probably sworn in at the next special call meeting. We'll have a justice of the peace here to be able to give him that deal. I just want to thank you guys for all your hard work and everything you're doing. I know it's hot out there and everybody's doing everything they can. We've had a lot of bad things happen last month. I lost a deputy, and we've had several firemen that have lost family members and stuff, and there's been a lot of sickness and everything going around with this new strain of COVID. So, you know, I just want to tell you we appreciate everything you do. And a lot of times you may not think that, and we may not give you that pat on the back all the time, but we do appreciate what you do. And does anybody else have any comments?
Y'all's is towards the end, so if you're running late to this thing, I think that we will understand that. You have to, you know, work your daily job before you come here, so we'll make a special spot for you, but just an FYI.
Thank you for bringing it up, Matt. I forgot.
I was also going to say that, I mean, there's several mentions throughout the night of different community involvement over the last month. And I mean, I personally am really happy to see that level of involvement. And, you know, the organizations that we're supporting and everything, to me, those are the things that we've got to be doing to build our relationship within our communities and continue to build our volunteer staff. So we say it all the time, you know, every opportunity you get, you know, let's participate. But I also want to acknowledge that we were able to participate in a whole lot of them in the last month, and thank everybody that did put that on, put forth that effort.